Hi, this is Mr. Ng. I'm going over the Math 4 quiz, Chapter 8 quiz number 8. That was on 8.1, 8.2, taken on January 17, 2017. These have to deal with trig ratios. So a quick recap of trig ratios. Start with your given angle, label the sides, hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent, and then use the silly phrase SOHCAHTOA. For question numbers 1 to 6, state the trig ratio leave as a fraction. So this first triangle, this is your given triangle, and notice how it has that weird shape. It's called theta. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and label through. So sine, so this is going to be the opposite, across the right angle, hypotenuse, and this is adjacent. So sine is opposite over the hypotenuse, 9 over 41. Cosine is adjacent over the hypotenuse, so that'll be 40 over 41. Tangent will be opposite over the adjacent, so 9 over 40. Now what I did is I actually copied this triangle, and here you're using the one here in green. It looks like an A. It's called alpha. It's a Greek letter. And from here, now I'm going to go ahead and label the triangle again. So you still have the hypotenuse, but you'll notice that the opposite and the adjacent change. Always get yourself a picture. So sine is opposite over the hypotenuse. That'll be 40 over 41. Cosine of A will be adjacent over the hypotenuse, 9 over 41. And tangent will be opposite over the adjacent, 40 over 9. Those are 1 point apiece. Question number 2, the diagram below shows right triangle UPC. What is the ratio of sine of U? So sine, if I look over here, is opposite over the hypotenuse. I'm going to start at U, so across my given angle is my opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. So I just need 15 over 17 is my correct answer. That'll be A. Question number 8, multiple choice. In the right triangle below, the length of AB is 13 units and the length of CB is 12 units. What is the tangent of A? So tangent of A. Tangent is opposite over the adjacent. Let's go ahead and label it. Opposite. This is the hypotenuse and the adjacent. Now some students were saying, well, there's nothing there. Well, if I have two sides of a right triangle, I can use Pythagorean Theorem. So my C value is the hypotenuse, so 13 squared equals, these don't matter, I'll call this one A, because it's cross capital letter A, so 12 squared plus, we'll call that side B squared. 13 squared is 169, 144, that's 12 times 12. Subtract 144 from both sides, and you'll get B squared to be 25, take the square root, and that side is 5. So now if I go back to the opposite over the adjacent, that would be 12 over 5. That will be A. Question number 9, word problem but multiple choice. From a hot air balloon, the angle between the radio antenna below and the base of the library, from the hot air balloon, so up here, and then looking at the antenna and then looking at the library downtown is 57 degrees. As shown below, if the distance between the radio antenna is 1.3 miles, how many miles is the how many miles high is the balloon? So that would be here. The question mark is X. Well, if this is my starting point, I have the opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. I don't need the hypotenuse because there's nothing there. I have tangent of 57 equals the opposite over the adjacent. My opposite is 1.3, and the adjacent is X. So I have this equation here, but it doesn't match any of these. So which means that all of these are set equal to X. So I'm going to put this over 1. We're going to cross multiply there. I got X times tan 57 equals 1.3. To get rid of this, to get x by itself, divide by tangent of 57 on both sides. And you get x equals 1.3 over tan 57. And that will be choice C is your answer. Question number 10. In the right triangle shown below, the length of AB is 8. The measure of angle A is 60. And it tells you 3 trig functions. Okay, this problem was actually meant to be without calculator. So approximately how many units long is BC? So you can put an X there. So I have opposite, and I have a hypotenuse, and this will be the adjacent, not needed. So then I have sine of opposite of the hypotenuse of 60. So sine of 60 is x over 8. This is a fraction, this one's not, put it over 1, cross multiply. So I have 8 times sine of 60 equals x. 8 times sine of 60, which is 0.866, which is approximately 1, so I'm going to estimate that it's 8 times 1, which is 8, or probably 6.93 is my guess. 8 times 0.866, enter, and 6.93 is our answer, so that would be choice D. Which equation shows a correct trigonometric ratio for angle A? So there's my starting point. This is the opposite. So notice how I'm always labeling the triangles, hypotenuse, sides adjacent. So it doesn't tell me which ratio. I just have to find the correct one. So let's just say sine of A should be opposite over the hypotenuse. So sine of A should be 8 over 17. That one's incorrect. No other sine, so let's go ahead and do cosine. Cosine of A is adjacent over the hypotenuse, so cosine of A should be 15 over 17. That's correct there. And even though I got that one correct, I'm going to go ahead and do tangent to make sure. Tangent of A is opposite over the adjacent, so that would be 8 over 15. So this one's incorrect, and this one's incorrect. So choice B is my answer. So let's double check. 6 points here. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So that'll be 16 points for that page. Side. Given an angle, find the trig ratio, round to the nearest 10 thousandths. So 10 thousandths is 4 decimal places, but you're going to have to look to 5 of them. So I'm just going to have my calculator here. Make sure your calculator is in degree mode. So 42, sine of 42. I'm going to write down a bunch of decimals, 0.66913. And there, this number is less than 5, so this 1 stays, and this is my answer right there. 0.6691. Do the same thing for cosine. Cos 85. 0.08715. This is my 5th number. So this number is 5 or more, which means this number will round up. So that will be 0.0872. And if you ever use a calculator, you're not allowed to use your phones, but I'm trying to show you a display. It's weird. Screen's not turning. Okay. So tangent of 73, so first going to turn my calculator sideways, make sure your inverses are turned off, so I press off that second button, and I'm going to type in 63, and then I'm going to press tangent. Notice how there's no -1 next to that. I have this as my number, so I'll write down those numbers. I'm looking at the fifth number here. This number is less than 5, so we'll just keep all of these numbers. 1.9626 is my answer. Question number 13. Solve for x. Round to the nearest 10th. So here's my starting point. Or give an angle. Here's your opposite. This is your hypotenuse. Therefore, this is the adjacent. So if you need to pick a trig ratio, I'm going to have to cancel one of these. So I don't need the opposite because there's no number next to it or variable. So adjacent and hypotenuse gives me cosine. So I have cosine. And then you put here your angle, 50 degrees equals A over H. Cosine of 50, your adjacent is x, hypotenuse is 28, and you're just solving for x here. So this is a fraction, this one's not, put it over 1. Cross multiply, so I have x, or 1 times x, equals cosine of 50 times 28. My calculator ready equation. Just go ahead and put into your calculator cosine of 50. Round to 4 decimal places. 6428. And don't get confused here. It says round to the nearest 10th. You shouldn't be doing that for your calculator. And then multiply those two numbers. I'm going to write down a bunch of numbers. And to the nearest 10th, so I'm going to need this number, but look here. So you're essentially, this is 5 or higher, so you're rounding up, so you're going to add 1 to this value, so that would be x is equal to 18.0. There's no units there, so that's fine. Question number 14, no picture, so let's draw one. This was 1 point extra credit. ABC is a right triangle. And length AB is 6 and CB is 3. Okay, so let's think about this. I can also draw another triangle, a right triangle, where AB call this one BC. Okay, so that would work. AB is 6. That still works, right? And CB is 3, and this one has to be longer. Now I can't do a third one. Where did I not put A? A is right here. Okay, this triangle won't work, and I'll prove to you why. Because this is the hypotenuse, which means it has to be the longest side, so that triangle doesn't make sense. So it can actually be either of these. So you just use the Pythagorean Theorem. For our references, I'll just call this one x, so it'll be easier. So in this problem, that's 6 squared equals x squared plus 3 squared, 36 plus x squared plus 9. Subtract 9, so 27 equals x squared, take the square root. This will be 3 radical 3 for x. So that would be giving you choice B. And then if you did this problem, 6 squared plus 3 squared, x squared equals 36, 3 squared is 9, x squared equals 45, take the square root, that would be 3 radical 5 would also give you the correct answer. So if you chose either B or D, you would get the 1 point. Question number 15. 14-foot ladder makes a 62-degree angle with the ground. So here's my building. Here's the ladder. A 14-foot ladder makes a 62-degree angle with the ground. So here's the ground. There's your right angle, 62 degrees. To the nearest foot, so that's a whole foot, how far up the ladder how far up the house, does the ladder reach? They want to know that side. Just go start here. This is my opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent, and I have 62 degrees. I have opposite and hypotenuse, so that would be sine. And I'll have x over 14, cross multiply. So I have 14 times sine of 62. And I get 12.36, nearest foot, so x is approximately 12 feet. That makes sense because it's less than 14, because 14 is the longest. So that one was 2 points extra credit. 1 point if you knew it was using sine. You set up your equation, and then the second point you had the answer correct. Last one, fill in the blank squares so that each row and each column contain all the digits 1 to 3. Numbers in cages may repeat as long as they are not in the same row or column. So this is a 3 by 3. So you're going to use the numbers 1, 2, and 3. And this is a darkened one, and this is a freebie because it's no other number, so you just put the 1 there. And now I need to enter the numbers 2 and 3 here. Well, if I put the numbers 3 and 2 here, notice that this is 5. So 5 plus something, that would be 8. And notice how there's no repeating numbers, and these add up to 8. There's another freebie, so that should be really easy. I need two numbers that add up to 3, so that's 2 and 1, but I cannot put a 1 there. You see that? So you just erase it, switch them. Number I'm missing here is a 3. Number I'm missing there is a 2. 2 plus 3 equals 5. So this side is worth 2 points each, so that's 6. 4 extra credit, those don't count, that one's 4. So this side is worth 14, and the quiz is at 30. I hope this helps you study for your test.